Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Kevin, and in today's video I'm doing a book review of David Goggins' second book, Never Finished. This book was one that I was looking very forward to reading, and I'm very happy that I ended up completing it. Personally, I do believe his first book was better than his second book, which might be surprising, and it might not be what he wants to hear, but that's just my personal opinion. Just looking at the cover of the book, it seems like the message that he wants to get across is that the war within your mind and within your body is actually never finished, and that no matter how successful you become, there's always still much more that you can do and much more that you can accomplish. But yeah, guys, with that being said, I'm gonna go through every chapter and what I believe it tried to portray, and then I'll give my final thoughts on the book. So let's get it. The first chapter is called Maximize Minimal Potential. Now, I think what this means is that even if you start at a really low point, your potential, even at max, it's very low, but as you continue to grow and improve yourself and get better, your minimum potential, the actual threshold and the ceiling is going to be much higher. So then when you maximize that, you're going to be even better than you were before. He talks a lot about his family and how he was overweight and his Navy SEAL training experience to back up this chapter. And by getting through all these hardships and many more, he was actually able to maximize his minimal potential. The second chapter is called Merry Christmas. And in this chapter, he goes over his Christmas experience in 2018, I believe, and he talks about how Christmas time was a big time for his father when it came to making money for his roller rink, and how he just had to do more work and focus more on that. And he overall explains how normal kids have a really nice Christmas, and when they think of Christmas, they think happy, presents, hugs, good food, and everything else that has to do with Christmas. But for David Goggins, it was the exact opposite, and it was more like torture and nightmares than anything else. The third chapter is called The Mental Lab, and this chapter is pretty self-explanatory, but he basically explains how he thinks of his own brain and his own head as the mental lab, where, you know, when you think of a laboratory, you think of experiments being done and progress being made. So up here is really where all the battles are fought. And he uses a couple of his races to explain how he had to literally go into his own mental lab in order to complete these races and even run when his body is completely messed up head to toe. The fourth chapter is called A Savage Reborn, and this is basically where he explains how he was at one of the lowest points in his life, but even then he overcame it and continued running and continued to participate in races and accomplish many things, and in a sense, his inner savage was reborn. And in fact, he started peaking and was probably in the best condition of his life by this point. Chapter 5 is titled Disciple of Discipline. And in this chapter, in the beginning, he explains how after one of his races, I think it was his first 100-mile race or something like that, he was completely messed up, and his wife had to do a lot of crazy things to get him back into order, which you can read about in the book. And he also explains his times with, I believe, his uncle, Sergeant Jack, where basically he would have to do lists, and even though he didn't want to do these things, he did them anyway, and this made Sergeant Jack more of a father figure than his actual biological father ever was in his life. The sixth chapter is titled The Art of Getting Hit in the Mouth. And in this chapter, he basically explains his experience with his race, the Moab 240, which is a 240-mile race, and how he failed the first time, and he went back and he finished it. He was freezing, he got lost, he went off course, all these different various challenges and hurdles, but he still ended up finishing the race in 2019. And this chapter basically symbolizes how you have to get used to being hit in the mouth or basically screwed over by life, but yet you also have to get up and continue and keep going no matter what. Chapter 7 is called The Reckoning, and again he explains his troubles with another race the AF200. And again, even though in Goggins fashion, when he's tortured, he gets up, makes the most of it, and defies all odds. Chapter 8 is called Play Until the Whistle, and here he basically explains how he had to go through surgery and there was a possibility that he would never run again. So he made the most of it, and like the chapter says, he literally played until the whistle. So he ran and ran and ran and made the most of it, just in case he really would never be able to run again. He also really wanted to improve and make sure the surgery is successful, because he was trying to be a fire pararescueman and he needed good legs to be able to land after jumping out of the planes. The last chapter is titled Wringing Out the Soul, and here he basically explains his success with being a pararescueman and how his body actually healed up and he didn't end up breaking his legs or anything of that nature. And he basically explains how you have to wring out your own soul in order to find yourself in every endeavor that you ever take on in your life. In other words, if you really want to find yourself and who you truly are, you have to face challenges and jump many hurdles ahead of you. But yeah, guys, that's probably gonna do it for this video. This was Never Finished by David Goggins. If I had to give it a score, I'm probably gonna give it anywhere from an 8.5 to a 9 out of 10 on this book. I'm not sure what I gave the first book, but if I gave the first book a 9 out of 10, then I'll give this an 8.5. And if I gave the first book a 9.5, then I'll give this book a 9 out of 10. All in all, he basically goes through many endeavors of his life, such as where he worked, many races, and different career paths that he's chosen, and all the obstacles and challenges that were in his way for each of these moments and how he overcame them. And even when he did find success, as the book suggests, he was never finished and he always had more to give. But yeah, guys, that's gonna do it for this video, and that's gonna do it for this book review of Never Finished by David Goggins. I'll put a link in the description if you guys want to go and get the book. If you like the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm out. Peace!